The galaxy was not silent. It was loud with voices full of trading ships, war fleets, and endless arguments inside the halls of the Galactic Council. For centuries, the great empires had believed they had mapped every star and controlled every border. They thought nothing new could surprise them. But they were wrong. On the edge of the Orion Arm, a signal was detected. A fleet had crossed into Imperial space. The ships were unknown. Their design did not match any database. They were simple in form, yet massive in size, sharp, gray, and cold like floating monuments. The strange thing was not their arrival. The strange thing was their silence. Most species announced themselves with banners, songs, or threats. These newcomers did not. They did not broadcast words, greetings, or warnings. They entered the Empire's borders like shadows moving across water. No sound, no declaration, just silence. The first patrol to intercept them expected confusion or fear. Instead, they found stillness. The unknown ships moved in perfect formation, weapons hidden, no energy spikes, no nervous movements. When hailed, they did not answer. When threatened, they did not react. The alien commander of the patrol grew nervous. He demanded again, "Identify yourselves." But the ships remained quiet, drifting forward like predators that did not need to roar. Finally, the patrol retreated. The commander left a final report to the Empire. They are human, and they are silent. The word spread quickly. Inside the great council chambers, alien leaders gathered. They debated in their usual way, voices loud and filled with arrogance. Some laughed at the humans. Silent? Then they are weak. Others argued, no, silence hides danger. It is the pause before the strike. The council demanded that humanity send representatives. Days later, humans walked into the chamber. For the first time, they were not many, a small delegation, dressed in plain uniforms with faces calm and unreadable. The alien council members expected fear, but they saw none. They expected noise, but they heard none. The humans sat quietly, their eyes scanning the room. Every movement was controlled, every breath steady. Some alien leaders tried to provoke them. Humans, do you not speak? Do you not sing? Do you not roar like others? The humans only looked back in silence. The silence began to work like a weapon. The longer it lasted, the more unsettled the aliens became. Whispers spread through the chamber. Were the humans studying them? Were they hiding a power too great to reveal? In every corner of the galaxy, the rumor grew. Silence meant strength. Silence meant patience. Silence meant control. On a distant outpost near the border, soldiers began to whisper to each other. They do not need to shout. They do not need to threaten. That is what makes them terrifying. Meanwhile, the human fleet remained at the edge of the Empire. They did not invade. They did not retreat. They simply waited, watching, listening, silent as the grave. For the empires, this was worse than war. War they could understand. War they could fight. But silence. Silence was mystery. Silence was fear of the unknown. One alien admiral said to his officers, "Do you not see? When predators move quietly, it is because they know they are the strongest in the dark." And still, humanity said nothing. The council grew restless. Some wanted to attack the human fleet to prove their dominance. Others whispered caution. What if this is what the humans want? What if their silence is a trap? The empires' spies tried to uncover human secrets. They found little. What they discovered only added more fear. Human colonies were hard, their worlds dangerous, their people disciplined. Where other species shouted, humans endured. Where others sought glory, humans remained patient. Patience, silence, restraint. These were words not often spoken in the galaxy. Yet humanity carried them like weapons sharper than blades. Back in the council chamber, the debate reached chaos. Aliens shouted, argued, and slammed their hands against the great tables. Through it all, the humans did not speak. They sat in calm silence, letting the galaxy show its weakness through noise. The council finally demanded, "Why are you here, humans? What do you want?" The leader of the human delegation raised his head slowly. He looked at every alien face, and then he said nothing. The silence was heavier than any words could have been, and in that silence the galaxy trembled. The Galactic Council chamber was a place of noise. Every race filled the vast hall with their voices, booming, clicking, hissing, shrieking. For centuries, arguments echoed through its high walls. That day was no different, except for one thing. Humans sat quietly in the middle, surrounded by sound. The chamber was packed. Hundreds of alien delegates leaned forward, eyes fixed on the strange new arrivals. No one in living memory had ever entered the Empire's heart without speaking, without singing, without begging. Yet here humanity sat, still calm and silent. The council leader, a tall being with golden scales, slammed his clawed hand on the table. His voice rang out, sharp and mocking. "Humans, you enter our empire and sit here like statues. Speak. Tell us why you are here." The humans did not move. Their leader sat with hands folded, his face steady. His eyes scanned the chamber, but no words escaped his lips. The silence stretched. An insectoid delegate laughed, his mandibles clicking loudly. Perhaps they are broken. Perhaps their tongues are too small to make sound. The crowd of aliens burst into laughter. Mockery spread like fire. Some banged on tables, others whistled or howled, trying to break the human calm. Yet the humans did not react. Not a twitch, not a blink. The laughter began to fade. Another delegate, one with a long snout and jeweled robes, leaned forward. His voice carried a cold edge. Maybe silence is all they have. Maybe they hide weakness behind stillness. Still, the humans did not answer. The golden-scaled leader's eyes narrowed. He slammed his hand again. "Do you think this council fears you? Do you think silence will protect you? We are the empire of empires. Speak, or be cast into the void." But the humans only sat there breathing in quiet rhythm. The silence became heavy. The council, used to noise and power, now felt something different. Some began to shift uncomfortably in their seats. Others whispered to each other, "Why don't they respond? Why do they just watch us?" One delegate, a warlord with iron armor, stood and shouted, "Enough! They mock us with their silence, they insult this council." The words filled the chamber with anger. Dozens of voices joined in, demanding punishment. Some wanted the humans thrown out, others wanted their fleet destroyed, and through the storm of voices, humanity remained still. In the shadows of the chamber, an old alien observer spoke quietly to his aide. His voice trembled. "Do you not see it? Silence is not weakness. Silence is patience. Silence is the mark of predators waiting for the right moment." His aide shivered. Then what are they waiting for? No one had an answer. The debate raged for hours. The council mocked, threatened, and demanded. The humans did not flinch. The silence spread beyond the chamber, carried by spies, by messengers, by whispers in crowded markets. Soon across the empire, people asked the same question. Why do humans not speak? Some believed the humans had already prepared for war and silence was their weapon. Others feared the silence itself, because it left imagination free to paint the darkest picture. On distant colonies, soldiers began to doubt. If the humans did not fear the Empire, then what power did they hold? Entire fleets paused their drills, unsure if they were preparing for a battle that had already been lost. Back in the council, the golden-scaled leader tried once more. His voice thundered, but beneath it one could hear his unease. "Humans, this is your last chance. Tell us what you want, or we will cast you out and burn your fleet." For the first time, the human leader moved. Slowly, calmly, he lifted his head. His eyes swept across the chamber, meeting each alien gaze one by one. The room fell silent. Every delegate leaned forward, waiting for words. But the human spoke none. He simply stood, bowed once, and walked out with his people. The silence that followed was unbearable. No one laughed now. No one mocked. The council sat frozen, the echoes of their own voices still hanging in the air like ghosts. The insectoid delegate who had laughed earlier whispered now, his voice shaking. They did not need to answer. Their silence was the answer. A cold dread spread across the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council realized something. It was not their voices that held power. It was the silence of the humans that controlled the room. The humans left the council chamber in silence. No threats, no promises, no demands. Just quiet footsteps fading into the long hallways. The echoes haunted those who remained behind. The council was unsettled. For hours, alien delegates shouted and argued, desperate to cover their unease. Some said humans were weak. Others swore silence was the mask of something far greater. But none could deny the same feeling crawling under their skin. Fear. It began small. A few whispered doubts, among soldiers, merchants, and spies. Yet whispers in the galaxy spread faster than fire. Soon every station, every colony, and every fleet was talking about the humans. They do not speak. They do not roar. They do not explain. For races that thrived on noise and spectacle, the human stillness was unnatural. On a distant mining colony, a crew gathered in the mess hall. The broadcast screen replayed the silent moment inside the council chamber. Humans staring calm and unblinking while alien leaders screamed. A miner with cracked claws muttered, that look in their eyes. They weren't afraid. They were measuring us. Another slammed his fist on the table. Better to fight a beast that roars than one that hunts in silence. The mess hall fell quiet. None wanted to admit what they felt. The humans had already entered their thoughts, their fears, their nightmares. Meanwhile, Imperial admirals gathered in secret. Maps and star charts filled the walls, holograms glowing bright with lines of fleets and borders. But no strategy seemed safe. One admiral asked, "How do you fight an enemy who makes no demand, who gives no sign of attack?" Another snapped, "You crush them before they move." Yet no one moved. Human fleets had not fired a shot. They simply sat at the edge of space, engines low, shields quiet, waiting. That waiting was worse than war. Reports soon arrived from the border. A trading outpost had gone dark. No alarms, no distress calls, just silence. When a patrol arrived, they found the outpost abandoned. Ships still docked, lights still glowing, but no trace of the people who lived there. Fear exploded through the Empire. Some whispered the humans had taken them. Others said the colonists had fled out of terror, running before humans ever arrived. The truth did not matter. What mattered was the silence. Merchants stopped traveling through human space. Caravans changed course, even if it meant losing fortunes. Soldiers began refusing orders, whispering in barracks that they did not want to be the first to face the humans. And still the humans said nothing. Back in the council chamber, leaders argued endlessly. The golden-scaled ruler slammed his claws in frustration. "We are the greatest empire in the galaxy. Why do we fear ghosts? Why do we shake at silence?" But even he felt it. Every night, when he closed his eyes, he remembered the humans sitting there, watching, patient, unshaken. One elder delegate finally spoke, his voice thin with age. "It is not what they said that we fear. It is what they chose not to say." The chamber fell quiet. Rumors grew stranger with every passing cycle. Some claimed humans had fleets hidden in the void, waiting to descend like shadows. Others said they had weapons that killed without sound, that they could erase worlds without leaving wreckage. None of it was proven, yet fear needed no proof. The galaxy was built on noise, on threats, on promises, on endless talk. But silence left imagination free to create monsters, and in the minds of billions, humanity had become that monster. On a frontier world, a child asked her mother, "What do humans sound like?" The mother looked away, afraid to answer. On a warship, a soldier asked his captain, "What happens if they finally speak?" The captain had no answer. He only stared into the dark between stars, listening to the silence that seemed to grow louder every day. The Empire tried to reassure its people with speeches and shows of power. Fleets paraded through space, weapons shining. Leaders made loud declarations of strength, but it all felt hollow, because the humans did not respond. They simply remained calm, quiet, and waiting. And everyone knew. The enemy who waits is the enemy who already controls the field. One night, in the heart of the Council City, an alien philosopher wrote words that spread across the stars. Noise belongs to the desperate. Silence belongs to the certain. Those words were copied, whispered, and feared. And every being who heard them thought of the same thing. Humans. The Empire had grown restless. For weeks, maybe months, humanity had sat in silence. Their fleets hovered on the borders, engines burning low, weapons hidden but ready. Their delegates never spoke, never explained, never demanded. The galaxy screamed around them, but humanity never answered, until one day the silence finally broke. The council chamber was full once again. Delegates shouted across the room, their voices sharp with anger and fear. Some demanded action. Destroy the human fleet before it grows. Others pleaded for peace. Do not provoke them. Do not force their hand. The golden-scaled ruler sat high on his throne, exhausted by endless arguments. His voice thundered across the chamber. We waste time. We beg shadows. Humanity hides behind silence. If they do not speak, then we will strike, the words echoed. Every eye turned toward the human delegation. For the first time, their leader stood. Slowly, calmly, he rose from his seat. The chamber fell silent. Even the boldest voices died at once. The weight of the moment pressed on everyone. The human leader looked across the hall, his eyes steady and unreadable. Then at last, he spoke. 5 words. We are already among you. The silence that followed was worse than any roar. Delegates froze. Some laughed nervously, hoping it was a trick. Others shifted in their seats, skin prickling, hearts racing. The words echoed inside their minds, crawling deeper than they wished. Already among us. What did it mean? Spies? Hidden fleets? Colonies already established in secret? No one knew. That was the terror. The insectoid delegate who once mocked humanity collapsed back into his chair, whispering, "They could be anywhere." Another, dressed in jeweled robes, stammered, "If they are among us already, then every world, every city." The golden-scaled ruler slammed his claws, but his voice shook. "Lies, it is a bluff!" But even he did not believe his own words. The galaxy outside the chamber erupted. News spread faster than fire. Every broadcast, every whisper, every market spoke the same 5 words. We are already among you. Entire colonies panicked. Citizens feared their neighbors, wondering if humans lived in secret among them. Soldiers hesitated to follow orders, afraid their own crews might hide human spies. In some cities, riots broke out. The silence had been unbearable, but these words, short and sharp, were worse. They were poison in the mind, infecting everyone with dread. On the border, fleets began to break apart. Admirals received orders to prepare for war, but few moved. Crews whispered in the shadows of their ships, "If they are already among us, then maybe war has already been lost." Merchants refused to travel. Planets sealed their skies, fearing invasion from within. And still, the human fleet did not move. They stayed at the edge of space, engines humming low, their silence now more powerful than any weapon. Back in the council, chaos reigned. Some leaders demanded proof. Others begged for surrender before proof could arrive. The oldest among them whispered to his aide, "They waited all this time for those words. They spoke because the silence had already broken us." His aide trembled. "Then why say anything at all?" The elder's eyes grew dark. "Because now we will destroy ourselves." In the days that followed, strange events multiplied. Outposts reported shadows moving in their corridors. Colonists swore they saw humans walking in markets, then vanishing like smoke. Soldiers claimed to hear footsteps in empty halls. Whether it was real or not didn't matter. Fear made it real, and fear was stronger than truth. The golden-scaled ruler tried once more to calm his empire. He stood before his people and declared, "We will crush humanity. We will prove they are not among us." But as he spoke, his voice cracked. The people watching noticed. His claws shook. His eyes darted toward the shadows of the hall, as if he feared the humans were standing right behind him. The Empire saw his fear, and in that moment their strength broke. In human silence, the galaxy had trembled. In 5 words, the galaxy began to collapse. The words still echoed across the galaxy. "We are already among you." Days passed, then weeks, but the fear only deepened. No proof came, yet no one asked for proof anymore. The galaxy did not need it. The galaxy already believed. On the council, world streets once filled with proud banners were now lined with fear. Citizens looked over their shoulders, wondering if the human neighbor they never noticed was watching them. Entire cities fell into silence, as if imitating the humans themselves. The louder a world tried to shout its strength, the more hollow it sounded. Fleets began to fracture. Admirals argued with captains, captains argued with crews. No one trusted anyone anymore. When ships passed each other in the void, commanders hesitated. What if the other vessel was already taken by humans? Some fleets fired on their own allies. Entire squadrons vanished into the dark, fleeing from shadows that might not even exist. It was war without battles, a war fought in the mind, and humanity had won it without firing a single shot. On a remote colony, a farmer spoke quietly to his son. "We were told to fear war, but now I see. War is simple. War is noise. Silence is worse. Silence makes you fight yourself." The boy shivered. "Do you think the humans are here, Father?" The farmer looked to the stars. "If they are, they don't need to strike. We're already falling apart." Back in the council chamber, the golden-scaled ruler sat slumped on his throne. His scales, once polished and shining, now dulled with exhaustion. He had called for meeting after meeting, yet nothing changed. The delegates no longer mocked. They no longer shouted. They whispered, or they said nothing at all. The chamber, once filled with noise, now trembled under its own silence. Humanity had infected them. Finally, one of the older delegates broke the quiet. "We cannot fight them. Not with ships, not with armies, not even with words. They already control the stars." Another, his voice low with despair, muttered, "The silence. It spreads. Even now, it spreads in us." No one disagreed. Across the empire, leaders surrendered without orders. Not to fleets, not to battles. They surrendered to the idea of humanity. Colonies sent messages. "We yield." Stations opened their gates without being asked. Some worlds even begged to be taken, desperate to end the terror of waiting. And still the humans did not move. Their fleets remained on the edge of space, unmoving, watching. Their delegates sat in council chambers, calm and quiet. They never demanded land, never asked for tribute, never even raised a weapon. The galaxy gave everything without being asked. The insectoid delegate who once mocked them kept a record of his final thoughts. "I thought silence meant weakness. I laughed at it. Now I see, silence is not emptiness. It is certainty. It is patience. It is the storm that never needs to shout." His writings spread, copied and repeated until every species had read them. Soon, silence itself became the mark of fear. Whenever a room grew quiet, aliens thought of humans. Whenever a fleet stood still, admirals whispered, "They are watching us." And so, the galaxy changed. The empires that once ruled with noise now ruled with whispers. The council that once thundered with voices now sat in uneasy quiet. Every decision was made with the thought, what will the humans think? What will they do if they choose to speak again? The galaxy had never been so careful, never been so afraid. On the edge of space, inside the silent human flagship, the leader stood at the observation deck. Stars stretched endless beyond him, and somewhere out there 1,000 alien worlds trembled. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. He only watched. Behind him, an officer spoke softly. "They are breaking, sir. The Empire is tearing itself apart, without us firing a single shot." The human leader nodded once. His reply was quiet, almost a whisper. "Noise belongs to them. Silence belongs to us." Back in the galaxy's heart, the golden-scaled ruler made one last announcement to his people. His voice shook as he spoke. "The age of empires is ended. The age of humanity has already begun." The galaxy had faced wars before. They had faced conquerors, rebels, and tyrants. But nothing in all the stars had prepared them for the weapon of humanity. Not ships, not guns, not armies. Silence. And that silence would echo across the stars forever.